The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. We all know there's hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. BetUS, however, has been in business for over 30 years. Future bets are paying out in the thousands, and if you act right now, you can still bet on the biggest games in sports. Visit BetUS.com, or you can click the link at nessp.info. BetUS, check it out and bet responsibly.
Oh my goodness, yes! Now I wonder if everyone is going to adopt this.
Wait a minute. The crowd is unsettled.
Yes.
The rules are being shot to the very brink.
That's right. They have manipulated the rules.
They indeed have.
And look at the time. Look at the time. They have been disqualified. Uh-oh.
Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, they have won the Kia Skills Challenge.
Oh, no. Comes up short. Hero survives.
Lillard is gone. Number 3.
Wow. Needed them all.
Tyler Hero has won. Tyler Hero with 24 has won it.
The San Antonio Spurs, Stephon Castle.
I love it. Taking his time. Yeah, that Stephon Castle is in warp speed, like you said. Look at the dreads going. Look at the dreads.
Back-to-back AT&T Slam Dunk champion, here to defend his title from the Orlando Magic, Mac McClung.
Doc loves it.
Yeah, that position that
Don't hold on.
Feet, I love it.
Oh,
No! Like the imagination, the creativity, the up, the height. Grab the other one, punch that.
Oh, come on, man.
You gotta get high.
Come on, man.
Come on, Mac. Mac Club, stop it. Stop playing with us, Mac Club.
It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here on a Monday morning. Shout out to everyone that is tuned in right here on the show. Thank you to Marlene, who is wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. Let me fix my camera because it looks like I'm crooked a little bit. There we go. Getting back in the center where everything needs to be. Shout out to Tommy Carranza, who is tuned in right now. Remember, everyone, we are live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and, of course, on Roku with our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports, Mac and the crew, always doing a great thing. I know I missed a show on Friday. My apologies. I was just it was not a good day for your boy, so I decided let's take it back. A personal health day, I guess is what we can call it. Whatever it is that we call it, that's what it's going to be. So I apologize for that, but I'm back and better than ever, like some people at ESPN would say. I don't know about the better than ever part, but I'm back. I do want to give a shout out though to my friends over at Vitola's here in El Paso. I went over there on Thursday, had me a nice old fashioned, had me a nice cigar. You could probably still hear it in my breath right now. I love me some cigars and stuff like that. But the one thing that I would say is I get tired of like having to babysit people, man. Like, there's a lot of people out there that just need to learn how and when to grow up. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. None of the people in my friend group, it was other friend groups. That shows you the type of person I am. It wasn't even someone I knew. It was just someone from another friend group that I was like, okay, well, I got to be the guy to help out with some of this stuff right here. Nonetheless, had a great time at Vitola's, had a great conversation, especially as the day came down to an end. Remember, everybody, we are brought to you by our friends over at W Energy. W Energy, I see it with myself. I'm a very ADHD type of person, never been diagnosed, so I guess I can't really say that. But I know that sometimes I have a hard time getting focused and doing all the things that I need to do. W Energy really helps me out with that. Check them out. W.GG, use promo code Mike Tipton. Okay, so this weekend was a fun weekend, and I don't know if I'm just being lost in the moment. I don't know how many of you necessarily care about the NBA All-Star stuff. That's like my one thing. That's all I care about for my birthday, right? Is that I get to watch the entirety, and sometimes not even the entirety, but I get to watch, like, you know, the NBA skills competitions, the 3-point contest, the dunk contest, and then of course the NBA All-Star game. And it just so happened that this weekend also landed on the Four Nations Cup. So we get USA and Canada. I've got the big TV showing the NBA All-Star stuff. I got the little TV showing me some hockey. And as I'm watching the big TV, I look down, I see they're about to drop the puck. USA, Canada, about to get it on, baby. And I am blown away by the fact that as soon as the puck drops, the gloves come off and we get some punches just being thrown left and right. The Kachuk brothers, those psychopaths, taking down as many people as possible. Augustine saying the NBA All-Star is a joke. How? Right? Like that's how? No, don't just tell me it's a joke. How is it a joke? I'll agree with you on some aspects of it, but I thought this weekend was absolutely fun. But nonetheless, getting back to hockey, Oli's Creation saying good morning, Mike. Good morning to you, Oli. Hope you are having a fantastic day here on this Monday morning. So we get 2 seconds in. We already get a fight. The next face-off, gloves come off. We already get a fight, right? Like, it's one of those days. And we're already, okay, we got 2 fights in 3 seconds. This is going to be a hell of a game. Next face-off, the puck goes down towards the net. And what happens? The gloves come off. 3 fights in 7 seconds. That sounds like Augustine climaxing on a Friday night. 3 times in 7 seconds. Salute to you, my boy. The recharge time is impressive. That was unnecessary. I apologize. But I watched the game. U.S. winds up winning 3-1. It was a fun game, and I like what hockey has done with this Four Nations Cup, right? Like, it's their version of an all-star game. And I really enjoy that. We got like a full all-star game with it, right? You got to see the best in the world doing what they do best. And I want to give a shout out to Gary Bryant saying happy birthday to the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Hey, we all agree that's the GOAT right there. Also, one of the funnier things I learned as I got older is today is also Jim Brown's birthday. So you got Jim Brown and Michael Jordan, 2 of the greatest of all time in their respective sports, born on this day. That is just like, you talk about a day that's, I'm sure there's other days out there that have legends born on it too, but there's just something about February 17th, because I also want to say, like, it's Billy Joel's birthday too. I'm not a big Billy Joel guy, but, you know, I'm good with it. Marlene Saucedo saying, I think I need to start watching hockey. Legitimately. I got into hockey just because of the fights, right? And this is going to sound insane, but I did PA for, I think it was like the second ever UTEP club hockey game. And I had never watched hockey in my life. Hell, I showed up to the rink in t-shirt and like jeans. I didn't even have a sweater. I was freezing my ass off, but I couldn't let anyone know because I'm the dude that grew up in or that lived in Alaska, right? Like I was like, I gotta deal with this cold. I just had a dude telling me what to say, and I just have a good voice, and that's the only reason why they wanted me there. Go UTEP. Same way that I did UTEP soccer. You tell me what to say. I'm Ron Burgundy. Put it in front of me, and it comes out. It's that simple. Wait a minute. Phrasing? Do we need the phrasing pause right there? Gary Bryant saying LeBron and Tiger Woods on December 30th. LeBron the GOAT for his era. Tiger Woods the GOAT of all time in golf, as far as I'm concerned. I'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Please remind me to bring up my thoughts on Tiger Woods, please. Got to check all my stuff over here, make sure we're still going good. Augustine had said the NBA All-Star is a joke. It's rhetorical. The game doesn't mean anything anymore. The drills are horrid. And the hockey fight, it was awesome. Baseball should adopt this. That's me. I recharge. 3 times in 7 seconds, my boy. Hey, get yours. That's all that matters. Get yours. Okay, but what All-Star game does matter, right? Like Major League Baseball, yes, whoever wins the All-Star game, you get to host the World Series. Awesome, I guess. But there's no real stakes in any All-Star game. So like none of it matters, right? Like it's just there for fun. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be a fun game. Now, last year, and I will die on this hill. I thought the NBA All-Star game was perfect. I genuinely still feel that way, right? You don't need the gimmicks. You don't need whatever team reaches this amount of points to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant or anything like that. Just name the All-Star trophy after Kobe Bryant. I think we're good with that. But just make it a basketball game, right? We all want to see the best in the world doing what the best in the world do. I enjoyed the premise of it, right? Where you had a tournament style that leads to a specific championship game. But I feel like we could have had those games on Friday, like the intro games on Friday, played the full games. It would have only been 2 games. They have a doubleheader on every Friday to begin with. And then you had that championship game on Sunday instead of the weird first team to make it to 40 wins, right? And as you're watching the broadcast yesterday, you hear Draymond Green, and Draymond Green being the voice of reason is insanity to me. Tommy Canazza saying it's a joke because Luka is in a Lakers jersey. Sorry, guys, I'm still hurting. My guy, I'm sorry. It must still be hurting. Gary Bryant says, why would you be Chris Paul and Wemby cheat during the first exhibition? First one to 40 in a game. Ice Cube should sue. Yeah. I get what Chris Paul and Wembanyama were trying to do. It was all Chris Paul's idea. You could tell it was Chris Paul's idea. Let's circumvent the rules. Chris Paul doing what Chris Paul does best. Trying to just utterly circumvent all the rules that have been laid out. That's what Chris Paul is trying to do, right? But it left me wanting more, right? And Draymond Green was kind of the same way. You had a Rising Stars team, which I feel like they didn't get the love they deserve from people like Draymond, of like rookies who did really well in the Rising Star Challenge, and now they get to be in the All-Star game adjacent, playing against whatever team, right? I like the USA OGs versus like the global team, right? When you had Jokic and Wemby out there with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like it really felt like that team was going to become overwhelming, especially without LeBron. I wonder what it would have been like if you had like a healthy LeBron along with a healthy Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Like what that would have been, how much fun that could have been. But we didn't get a full game. We got 40 points. And Draymond Green going out there and saying, like, look, this isn't basketball. He's right. Like, that's not basketball. Also fix the court. Like I love the city things that we're doing with the court. It becomes too much. Just make it a basketball court. It doesn't have to be super bright colors. And maybe that's me. I have an issue with colors and stuff like that and being able to see things clearly, right? Augustine saying, what do you think that baseball adopts hockey less than fight? Only two people not emptying the bench. I guess, right? Like it's a little different with hockey though, right? Because you got all the pads, you have the helmet with the face shield, and very rarely does the helmet with the face shield come off. It's the first person that gets tackled down. Like I'd love baseball to allow them to fight. So maybe, right? I'm trying to think of a negative here is maybe you don't have enough padding, but hell, you get hit by a baseball in the ribs, you might as well go out there and get yourself some retribution. I'm all about it, man. Let's go. Augustine, we're fixing baseball. We're allowing fights. No one gets to clear the bench. It's just one-on-one, baby. Throw the bat down, throw your glove down, and then you start just laying them out, right? Like, it's the way to do it. Augustine, we're saving baseball. Gary Bryant saying, I really didn't watch the games. I watched the three-point shootout live. The rest I caught on highlights on YouTube. Adam Silver is soft. Wow. I will say that. Yeah, I do agree that Adam Silver has a bit of a Charmin in him, but he's got to try to navigate a league that I think is where the players have more power than the rest of the leagues that are out there, right? Like, you got 32 teams, but you only have 15 roster spots. The amount of money has gone up so high that like the last dude on the bench is getting paid a ton of money. They've gotten more power. They're able to kind of dictate how they go. I believe that's all on Adam Silver. So I agree with you on like that's where he's soft. He's got to find some way to like bring it back and just lay down. This is what it's going to be. I believe it was David Sampson, and if you guys have paid attention to this for a while, you've heard me mention that name a few times. Former president of the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins. He has his own podcast. It's called Nothing Personal with David Sampson. Does a lot with like sports business and stuff. And he said, what if for the winning team, you gave each player $1 million and the losing team gets nothing? That right there would bring up your level of competition, right? Like, I genuinely believe whenever you put monetary stakes in the game, especially if it's an all-star game, and the NBA can do this. There's so much money in the NBA, it's ridiculous. The NBA can do that. The winning team gets $1 million. The losing team gets nothing. That's $1 million each. That right there would bring up the level of competition. That right there, to me, is what all the teams should do or all the leagues should do with these all-star games, right? This is, it always sounds like sacrilege because I say this, but I think people that have watched this show long enough and people that know me long enough understand this about me. I like basketball more than I like football. You just get more. There's more bang for your buck, right? And the games, for the most part, are always competitive. There's so much action going on. It's not like a football game where you watch for 3 hours and you get 11 minutes of action, right? Genuinely, that's how most NFL games work. 11 minutes of action. Couple of seconds of a play, 40 seconds down on the clock, right? I love basketball because there's always so much going on. I just had the song from Curtis Blow in my head. Maybe I'll play it right now in a little bit just to placate to myself. Tommy Cananza saying it would have been interesting if Luka and Davis played. I agree. And I think that that's part of the issue with basketball too is like, you have some big name stars that are injured right now. One of the ones that really bothered me yesterday was LeBron James. Before the game comes out is like, oh, I'm not going to play. I'm not feeling good. And they still announce him as a 21-time All-Star, LeBron James, right? Like, okay, you kind of knew you weren't going to play. You could have let someone else get in there, right? But like, there's other people that could have gone in there. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo knew he wasn't going to play, so he says, "Look, I'll show up to the game. I can't play. Let's give that spot to someone else." And then Trae Young gets to be in the game, gets to experience an All-Star weekend, start doing all that stuff, right? Gary Bryant saying start with having a salary cap in the NBA. That's where the problem is. Do away with guaranteed contracts. That's the crazy part, is the NBA has a salary cap. NBA teams, because of the amount of money that's generated, are able to manipulate the salary cap. They have a thing called a luxury tax. Major League Baseball is experimenting with this. They call it the Steve Cohen tax, right? Because the new owner of the Mets has enough money, he can just buy whatever the hell he wants. So they have a luxury tax in the NBA. The luxury tax multiplies each year that you're over the luxury tax. But let's say it's your first season and you've maxed out your salary cap, and I want to say it's like 200 million. You max out your salary cap at that 200 million, but you have a complete payroll of 250 million. Well, now that 50 million that you have that's over the tax is going to be taxed in the luxury tax now, and it's dollar for dollar. So that $50 million becomes $100 million. So now your salary cap goes from being 200 million to 300 million on whoever those players are. That's part of the reason why the Golden State Warriors blew it up. They were constantly in that luxury tax threshold and constantly paying that money one for one, one for one. Whenever you're stuck in that luxury tax for a while, it becomes 1 for 1.5. So that 50 million, or yeah, let's say again, that $50 million winds up becoming an additional $75 million. So now you're spending $125 million because you're 50 million over the cap. Does that make sense? Right? Like, that's kind of the way that the salary cap works in the NBA. So yeah, there's a cap there. It's just the luxury tax is really easily exploited by teams that have a ton of money. The Lakeup brothers in Golden State are just swimming in money right now, right? Like Ballmer, Steve Ballmer in with the Clippers, if he really wanted to, could just buy, right? But those things are there in place to help with the competitive balance in the NBA. And as we're seeing, Gary Bryant saying the luxury tax on the second apron isn't working. I agree with that. But the thing is how do you stop it? Like once you've turned it on, it's hard to cut it off, right? So for me, like I get that the luxury tax gets exploited. It happens in baseball. It happens. I mean, even in football, there's a little bit of a tax if you go over your salary cap. But in the NBA, it's just what you got to do, right? Because again, 15 roster spots. That's all there is. 15 roster spots. How do you manage through all that with injury, with other things like that? That's what gives owners and teams leeway to be able to sign players if there's major injuries. Gary's saying, well, then it's not an actual cap. It's a cap in name only. It has to be a hard cap. The NFL has that, right? Like the NHL has their weird salary cap where, yeah, you have a cap in the regular season, and then whenever the postseason starts, the cap just goes away. So now you can have players that didn't play all season or were injured, and now their money comes back to your team, but you don't get penalized for it, right? It's all about salary cap manipulation, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball that doesn't have a salary cap, but it has a salary floor, and in the NBA, right? It's all about how you manipulate the salary in order to help out your teams. And then it comes down to ownership, right? Like genuinely, it comes down to ownership. Are you going to be willing to go over that cap? And so few teams are. Because as we've seen in the NBA, it's not as predictable, I guess is the word, even though I don't want to necessarily say that. It's not as predictable with the NBA of like who's going to be the champion. Last year, I think we all could have said, okay, maybe Boston, but none of us would have thought that Dallas would have been in the NBA Finals, right? We all thought it could have been another team, not the Dallas Mavericks. And you look at it this year, right? Like the Houston Rockets, a really young team, not anywhere near the top of the salary cap, and they're able to kind of sustain and do these things, right? What owners are actually willing to exploit the salary cap? We've seen it with the Lakers. They don't do it all that often now anyway, right? They might start doing it with Luka. But in the like recent memory, the Lakers were like, this is our cap, this is where we're staying. Very few teams, I even want to say like right now, I think it's like 3 teams exploit that salary cap with the luxury tax and things like that. Augustine is saying, if you want consistent action, soccer will be the best. It's 90 plus minutes of actions. No, it's not. It's 90 minutes of a dude kicking a ball to another dude who stands there for a few seconds while 2 dudes run to him in a triangle. Then he kicks the ball over to another guy and then kicks it to another guy. And then after a while, you watch 90 minutes of a bunch of losers trying to score. Reminds me of being at Vitola's watching some losers trying to score. That was unnecessary. Okay. I gotta compose myself, get myself here. I just had to go with the joke. The joke was right there. It wrote itself. Thank you, Augustine. Put it up on a tee, knocked it out the park, baby. That's the way that we do it. Tommy Canazza saying 4 points in 90 minutes is not action. 4 points in soccer would be a high scoring game, right? Like there would be records set. They'd be like, oh my Lord, did you see there were 4 points scored in today's soccer match? And like half of Europe's minds would just blow up. They'd be like, oh my God, there's that many points available in this sport? Jesus, I thought every game ended 0-0. And somehow somebody won. It's anyway. I know I've got to do. I told you that I was going to learn soccer because in 2026 I am going to do all I can to cover the World Cup. I got plans on going to a game in Mexico, a game in Canada, and then a game in the United States. Those are the goals for your boy. So let's see if we can actually make that happen. I was waiting to see Augustine's rebuttal, but he hasn't given that to me yet. I'm sure his mind just blew up. He's angry right now. He is hulking up. And he just had another climax. I don't know if any of y'all caught the Saturday Night Live concert. Like, I didn't watch the show yesterday. I'm going to have to go back and watch the show. But I watched the concert on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Like the musical concert for Saturday Night Live, that was a ton of fun. Saturday Night Live at 50, and I just turned 41, and it makes me feel old as hell. So there we go. But that was a fun thing. If you get a chance, check that out on Peacock. Augustine saying that's Mr. Climax to you. Hey, a pyroclastic blast similar to that of a volcano. I'm with you, my guy. I am with you. I used to say just to like, I like painting pictures with words. And with some of my friends, I would say things just to like see how far I could push the envelope. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, dude, like I'm not easily grossed out, like any of this, blah, 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 blah. Roku, I apologize for what's about to come out of my mouth. It's my birthday. But I always used to say, okay, when describing a climax, I would call it a pyroclastic blast of ejaculate shooting up into the air and raining down upon you like the volcano eruption of Pompeii. If that doesn't paint a picture of what's happening, I don't know what will. The pyroclastic blast, a.k.a. Augustine Pimentel. The P in Pimentel stands for pyroclastic blast. I've got to get back to sports, guys. I'm sorry. I know. I'm all over the place. It's a Monday. I shouldn't be talking like this. Team Shaq beats Team Chuck 41-25 in the NBA All-Star game. And literally, it was only me watching that game, apparently. Augustine saying he doesn't think most people know what a pyroclastic cloud is. Hey, that's on them, my guy. That is on them. I saw something, though, that made me think that There is the possibility of a certain player that was jettisoned out of his team having a potential spot to land. If you were living under a rock last week, you didn't get to hear me talk about Aaron Rodgers being released from the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, washed. You don't want to continue with this guy. But there have been rumors out there from some of the other teams that the Pittsburgh Steelers, of all teams, might be interested in Aaron Rodgers. This coming off the heels of hearing that there's infighting between head coach Mike Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Tomlin favors Russell Wilson, where Arthur Smith favors Justin Fields, looking to build on the future, right? And all these rumors came up, and they asked me, Tip, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers possibly going over to the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I sat back and I said, I don't see it. Like their cap, like this and that. Do you really want Aaron Rodgers? How's all that going to work? And then I get the news that the Steelers have cut Preston Smith in a move to save salary cap money. And I have to think of two things here. That means you're either going to give Russell Wilson an extension, which I don't think many people had on their bingo card, or you're going to let Russell Wilson walk, and you're going to try to sign Aaron Rodgers. I think the perfect team for Aaron Rodgers to go to is the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, Vikings fans, but I feel like that's the way that's going to go. He is living his full Brett Favre 180 or 360 moment right now. But now I feel like with that move of the Steelers releasing Preston Smith, that there is a small possibility that Aaron Rodgers could be suiting up in the black and yellow in Pittsburgh. I just don't see, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, an avenue where that's a team that I want to go to, right? Like, I look at it from the team perspective, like maybe you get a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that you think might have done something at the end of the season where there's still something left there. I don't see it. Like, genuinely, I don't see it. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, and I know I'm in the twilight of my career, this is more than likely going to be my last season. I want a chance with a competitor. I want a chance to win a championship, to cement my legacy with a team that can win a championship. And the way the Pittsburgh Steelers are constructed right now, really good defensively, horrid on offense. Absolutely dog crap on offense. And I feel like that would be a situation that would deter Aaron Rodgers from being there. The one team that I think would be good, would be a championship contender that might do better with Aaron Rodgers than what they had this year at the quarterback situation, would be the Minnesota Vikings, right? Like, they've got a team. They've got a great offense. Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, right? Hawkinson on the as your tight end. They've got weapons. Jordan Addison, right? Like they have legit dudes in Minnesota. But if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, do I take a flyer on Aaron Rodgers knowing that he didn't want to teach Jordan Love? He didn't want Zach Wilson there so that he could teach Zach Wilson in New York. And now you have J.J. McCarthy, who's coming off of an injury and could do well to sit back and watch a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But do you want to introduce that contagion into your team? Do you want Aaron Rodgers on your team? Because to me, Aaron Rodgers wants to go to a contender. I can't think of another contender that needs a quarterback other than Minnesota. And I don't even know if I want to really call them a contender, right? Like what team out there is going to say, you know what, F it, let's get Aaron Rodgers. That's going to be the fix to our problems. Aaron Rodgers, that's the guy that we want to have on our team. If you're Pittsburgh, do you genuinely think you're there? You've had zero playoff success in the last decade. You've been middling around 500, and obviously Mike Tomlin never had a losing season, so congrats to you. But obviously the Mike Tomlin situation is going to come to its eventual end. Do you want to introduce a divided locker room that's already divided on the head coach, that's already divided on the offensive coordinator, that's already divided on the quarterbacks you have existing with you right now, and then you want to introduce Aaron Rodgers into it? I don't know if that would be the route that I would want to go. Like, genuinely, I don't feel like that would be the route that I want to go. Augustine Pimentel to poop on. How old? Like, genuinely, how old do you have to be to get the Triumph the Insult Comic Dog reference, right? Like, because I'm 41, and even I feel like that's a stretch. Like, Marlene, I wonder if she knows who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is. I want to say she's like 33, right? Like, there's other younger people out there that watch the show. Some of my students, I guarantee you, none of my students know who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is. Wow. To dust off that reference. Augustine, once again, holding on to the mantle of being the oldest person that's associated with this show. I appreciate that, though, Augustine. Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is endless. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one. I think Triumph, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's not really even funny to me. I think if I watch like 30 seconds of it, I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then like they have 90-second clips, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, I'm so over it. It's just the same thing over and over. They're not even real insults. It's just like, okay, I guess. Right. But I'm interested to see what happens in the future with this Aaron Rodgers deal, right? Because I do feel like the only place that Aaron Rodgers could go to get a championship is Minnesota. If you're Vegas, do you want Aaron Rodgers? That's not a contender, but do you want Aaron Rodgers? And to me, I don't think the answer is yes. Augustine saying, and it should be required for watching. It should be required watching for today's generation. What? Triumph isn't funny? Have you seen the Star Wars BI? I haven't. I don't watch I've never seen Star Wars. I don't associate anything with Star Wars. As a matter of fact, the only Star Wars adjacent thing I've ever seen was whenever Family Guy did it. And that was hilarious. Obi-Wan Kenobi being Mr. Herbert. Guess who? I can't do it like normal because you can still hear in my voice that I'm struggling with some stuff. But yeah, so Aaron Rodgers, we'll see where it is that he winds up going. I think he's going to be forced into retirement. If Pittsburgh signs him, it would be an absolute disgrace to their fan base. I genuinely feel that way. My apologies once again. Having to deal with throat issues here on a Monday. I did see, though, all of the names, and I got to bring it up here. I thought I had it, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. But all of the names of the wide receiver free agents that are out there. And it got me thinking. There's 17 wide receiver free agents that are out there. And I thought of teams that need some wide receiver help, right? Like whether it's the Dallas Cowboys, whether or not it's, the Packers, who I think could do well adding in the wide receiver core, whether or not it's a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who need an explosive wide receiver. And I'm looking at the names. I see Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Robert Wood, Marquise Brown, Darius Slayton, KJ Osborne, Marcus Robinson, Nelson Aguilar should be done. Ashton Dolan, Tyler Boyd, CJ Chark, Mac Hollins, right? Like, we're going into some names now. Braxton Berrios. And I sit here and I think to myself, if you're a team, do you take a flyer on any of these guys? Maybe T. Higgins, right? 26 years old. Deontay Johnson, we've seen not really doing what he should do. Brandon Cooks, 32 years old by the time the season starts. Same thing with Stephon Diggs. Same thing with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's going to be 33. Amari Cooper's going to be 31, and it feels like Amari Cooper's been in the NFL for at least 15 seasons. T. Higgins might be the only guy that you look at there, maybe Hollywood Brown, where you could say, okay, maybe we take a flyer on this guy. Maybe there's something there. And if you noticed on that name or on that list, there was Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. That means the Kansas City Chiefs are going to let go of 2 of their current wide receivers. So if you're Kansas City, why wouldn't you go after T. Higgins? Like, obviously, Cincinnati's going to try to do everything they can to keep him. If you're T. Higgins, you look at Cincinnati, you say, do I have a great situation here? If you're Kansas City, you target T. Higgins because Rashee Rice, T. Higgins with Patrick Mahomes in my veins. Give that to me. If I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, that's what I want. But then I also sit back and think, okay, that's going to be a lot of money. Spending a lot of money on that guy, your issue was at the offensive line. So maybe you can go out and get on the cheap, because I feel like it's going to be a cheap guy, someone like an Amari Cooper. Great hands, great possession guy, still explosive, still able to be a contributor on a team, along with Rashee Rice. That right there, once you get more receiving options to Kansas City on a cheaper dime, now they can address their offensive line issues, right? Like that to me would be the way to go if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs. I look at that team and I see that they're right there. Obviously, they were in the damn Super Bowl, but they're like right there. And it's all offensive line, but you still need a wide receiver, someone to help you out that can bail you out. Rashee Rice is going to be able to pull the top off of any defense. Xavier Worthy, the exact same way. You put a guy like Amari Cooper in the slot that can get you a possession here or there, that's a winning situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. Marlene Salcedo saying she has no idea who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is, and she is 37 years old. 37 years old. There's a 4-year age difference betwixt us, and like I said, I barely know who Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is, because I would stay up late once in a while and watch Conan O'Brien. That's an old-ass reference, Augustine. Old-ass reference. Uh-oh. Marlene needs a life. LOL, JK. She would beat you up in a heartbeat, my guy, and you'd probably enjoy it. Once again, Pyroclastic Blast happening all over the place. And then the other name here that's interesting to me is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs' previous salary was $22.5 million. He's obviously not going to get that. He's coming off of an ACL injury, so you have that issue with him. He's had issues with quarterbacks, whether it was Kirk Cousins, whether it was Josh Allen, right? If you're Houston, do you re-sign him? Like you saw that Houston is kind of further away than what we initially thought they were. The Houston Texans are just, doing their thing. Conan was the third best late night talk show ever. And asking, is Marlene hot? Why don't you ask her yourself, my guy? Like, you're a creep. Go out and find her online. Don't do that. Please don't do that. And you're not. Like, how are you going to... Anyway, I'm Usa. I'll be all right. But Stephon did, like, if you're Houston, do you bring him back? If you're the LA Rams, I know that there was talk out there that you might trade away Matt Stafford, which is mind-blowing to me. But if you're the LA Rams, do you want to add depth to your receiving core, right? You're going to get rid of Cooper Kupp. Is getting rid of Cooper Kupp and the thought of trading Matt Stafford, is that the Rams saying, look, we're done. We're moving on. We won our Super Bowl. We want to get under the cap. We want to rebuild. Is that what's going on with the LA Rams? Obviously saying, LOL, go. Say it. I mean, you're a fugly dude anyway. I mean, come on now. Marlene saying, Tip, we're going to have to hang out and watch Star Wars. I can't allow this nonsense. I have tried so hard over the summer, right? Like, I had a list of movies that I hadn't watched, and a lot of it was like those 80s coming-of-age movies, right? Like The Breakfast Club, others of the sort. Like, I've never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I finally watched Indiana Jones. I want to say it was like the first one. Whichever one, he's like melting the face off of Nazis. That's the one that I saw. That was the first time I saw it. Like I saw a lot of these over the summer. Watched the entirety of the Harry Potter franchise this year, right? And whenever it came to Star Wars, I just couldn't do it, dude. I had coffee. I had copious amounts of caffeine ingested into my system, and I fell asleep twice. Twice I fell asleep in that movie, with me actively trying not to fall asleep. It's just not my thing. Tommy Canazza saying, I'll take him in Dallas, talking about Stephon Diggs. We're used to getting guys like Jonathan Mingo, LMAO. We're moving up from shopping at Dollar Tree to shopping at Walmart, baby. Hey, all we did was just walk a couple steps down in the shopping center. I got you, my guy. That's all we did, right? We're like, hey, you know what? Dollar Tree has this, but I heard Walmart. That's where you want to go get one of them at. I mean, I'm with it. I think out of the names of guys that are here that I believe the Dallas Cowboys would covet. And I'm just looking over this list because I know I saw the name up here earlier. Who would be the guys that the Dallas Cowboys go after? I want to say it would more than likely be someone like Grant DeBow. I'll let you look up that name. Grant DeBow. That's who the Dallas Cowboys are going to go get. Tommy, that is hilarious. That is the comment of the day. I agree with you 100%, Augustine. Augustine asking, what Ferris Bueller's Day Off? What rock have you been living under? I'm with Marlene on this. Marlene and me should watch them before. Sure, buddy. And then saying, I can picture Jerry Jones shopping at Dollar Tree. Oh, man. Which one is it, right? Like, because there's a part of me that's like, I can picture Jerry Jones shopping at Dollar Tree, but I can also picture him shopping at like Dollar General. And I don't know which one's better or which one's worse because they're all kind of the same to me, right? Like even Family Dollar, they're all kind of the same to me. And before you dump on me before saying, oh, Tip doesn't know the difference, I need you to like really internalize this. My like summer clothes shopping to get ready for school and the upcoming season or the upcoming year was my mom taking me to Family Dollar and getting like tracksuits from like the 1940s in there with like the shoes and stuff like that. And I always wondered, I'll just leave that right there. We're going to just like, that's got to be flashing. I think I need to come up with a thing that's like the Augustine creep alert. The amount of times this man has asked me about a guest on my show or about someone that watches a show, is she hot, is just, man, it's gross. Like it genuinely is. It genuinely is. Anyway, I have to like wash myself off with an SOS pad after this with how creepy Augustine is. But yeah, no, I mean, I'll try to watch some Star Wars. I don't know if I'm actually going to do it. Like I've tried. I genuinely have. I made it a mission of mine to do it. There's other movies on my list that I've got to get to as well. Like whenever football started, I decided I just needed to take a break from trying to watch some of those movies. I've watched all the Fast and Furious movies, though. Gone in 60 Seconds? Oh, my God. I can watch that all the time. I saw one the other day, The Equalizer, with Denzel Washington. That's a really good movie. I apologize for the amount of times that you see me have to turn my mic off in order to cough. Marlene laughing, but I want to put like on the side, like in parentheses, like nervously scared laughing when it comes to the stuff with Augustine. We'll be all right. We will be all right. That's all we got to talk about. We'll be okay. It'll all be okay. And then, of course, I'm looking at, some of the other news that's out there. The Jaguars still looking to try to get themselves a new GM. Tommy Canazza saying, I was with you on the Star Wars thing, Tip. It's actually pretty good. A little confusing, but good nonetheless. I think what it is, too, is I think so many people have built it up to be this transcendent type movie, right? Like I've never seen The Godfather. And they have it in like that type of lore, like it's Godfather-esque. And I feel like if I watch The Godfather and if I watch Star Wars and I have these expectations of them that they're going to be great, that when they don't meet those expectations, I'm disappointed, right? And again, my opinion on movies probably shouldn't matter to anybody because again, I've watched all the Fast and Furious movies. But I'm just like I don't know. Like maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll go do some ayahuasca with Aaron Rodgers, and that's how I'll watch Star Wars, and it'll feel like I'm really in a galaxy far, far away. Maybe that's the way that I got to do it. Struggling to get there. Augustine saying the movie of the year is Romulus. I've heard some good things about that movie. I've been wanting to watch Nosferatu as well. Nosferatu. I've been wanting to watch that as well. Augustine saying Star Wars is amazing. I can watch it still, and I'm in still awe of it. That's awesome. Like I'm glad that people have that connection with it because I feel the same way, right? Like that's how I am with Gone in 60 Seconds. That's how I am with Gatsby. I love Gatsby. I can watch that movie anytime it's on. One of my favorite ones, right? As far as like action movies and stuff like that goes, Two Guns with Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, I think is a great all-around movie, right? Like I'll watch those. The Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington. Maybe I just have a crush on Denzel Washington. I've named a lot of Denzel Washington movies. But like I totally get that. I totally understand that. I just feel like I think I need to be mentally altered. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I need to be mentally altered to not force myself to be like, oh, this movie with like the graphics and stuff in the 1970s doesn't hold up. Because when I watch it sober, that's exactly how I feel. Right? Like I've seen some amazing movies like Gone in 60 Seconds. The Fast and Furious when they go up in outer space. And I'm like, this cheesy ass movie with Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris in outer space has better graphics than a movie that's supposed to be outer space, right? Like it just it kind of blows my mind. And then I've been wanting to watch like The Mandalorian and stuff, which I feel like is an ancillary character in Star Wars, but I'm not 100% sure. I thought I saw in the first movie someone that had like the same like get up, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll see though. It's my birthday. I don't have much to do, so maybe I'll watch one of those movies on the list. I don't think I'm going to watch The Godfather. I'll come up with something. Maybe Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Right? Augustine saying Nosferatu was okay. It's creepy in the way that everything the guy is doing is to get the girl. Do we not see a little bit of ourselves in that, Augustine? Augustine saying, here's a good movie to watch, Clockwork Orange. Okay. Tommy Cadazza saying The Mandalorian is good tip. Okay. I think I'll start doing some stuff with The Mandalorian. I was surprised with the Harry Potter movies, right? I genuinely enjoyed them, and maybe it's because I'm going to come up with a way. No, I'm not going to tell you all. I will do it on my own, and then I will debut it on tomorrow's show. I'll try to debut it on tomorrow's show. Depends on how much alcohol is going to be consumed between now and then. And if you don't believe me, I mean, come on now, guys. Answer him, Tim. Oh, man. I need to watch Star Wars. Okay, so I watched the first one, which I think is episode 4, right? Because I think that's what I was told, right? You go 4, 5, 6, then you go 1, 2, 3, and then whatever the rest of them are. I just know it's like that confusing way of doing that. So maybe today I'll crack open a little bit of the bubbly. It's not very bubbly. I'll do this. I'll do my Cooperstown today. Might as well do it for special occasions. My Cooperstown Distillery bourbon. I'll do this one today. Hang out on the couch. Just me and as a big, hairy, fat guy finger in my belly button. I was going to try to get through that joke. Damn it. I don't think I'll be able to do it. Sorry, guys. But yeah, just, popcorn, some adult beverages, hanging out, turn all the lights off, be in my element with the darkness, and I'll be absolutely fine. I will be absolutely fine. August is saying, or you can just watch. I'll send you a message. That sounds like you're going to try to watch me watch it. Which, I mean, I'm into some kinky stuff, my guy. So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Roku, I apologize. Remember, everyone, we are live on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, and, of course, on Roku with National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our guys, Mac, J-Train, the entire crew over at National Streaming Sports. They are probably going to fire me in the next couple of hours because of how today's show went. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe it's just us tomorrow, guys. I hope not. Roku, I got nothing but love for you. See, a little heart emoji, do all that stuff. Whatever it is that I got to do. Augustine. Tommy Canazza saying, even that comment is creepy, Augustine. It feels like everything. Everything. Like, is there rehab for creepy? Like, do we have to enroll him in it? Is there an intervention for it? Like, I feel like if he walked into his house and all of us were there for an intervention, he'd start undressing and all of us would be terrified. Marlene saying, it's the Bible of science. Hey, I'm good with it. Let's see how it goes. It's the most beautiful love story. It's everything. Star Wars? Huh. Tommy, I think that we can do it. I think that we can do that. There's a ton of dudes out there, some women. There's a ton of dudes out there that can benefit from us just being like, look, quit being such a damn creep. It's that simple. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all for tuning in for today's show. I apologize. My voice, I'm hoping, comes back to me any one of these days now, and I don't have to worry about all the phlegm and nonsense that's going out there. I feel like the city of El Paso, with the weather and all the stuff that's going on out there, all of it is actively trying to kill me. I appreciate the love and support, y'all. You already know that, and we will see you tomorrow, hopefully, with an update on whether or not I watched Star Wars. Here's a spoiler. I didn't. We'll see you all tomorrow.